One
Yeah.
of the things I tell people, and it's proven over and over and over again, is as we shift inside. And that's why I say everything I do is about transformation, because it's not about going out there and getting that business or going out there and getting that wealth or going out there and getting that great love relationship or whatever it is. It's not about going out and doing it. We have to come from it on the inside. And when we come from that on the inside, we start opening that up. And so what I tell people is every person I work with goes through and experiences people in their life either shift along with them or they start
Hmm.
falling by the wayside. And it's just a
Yeah.
natural,
Yeah.
it's just a natural thing that happens. I mean, we can say
It's real.
sorrow and relationships ending, but in order for you to get to where you're going, that has to be part of it.
Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified when the next video comes out. It only takes 2 seconds to make 2 clicks. So let's do it. Let's get back to the video. Hello, 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 Fearless Freedom Tribe. This is Dr. G, and we are back for another episode of the Fearless Freedom with Dr. G podcast. Today, we have Joey Drolshagen with us, and he's going to tell us all about what he's up to and who he is. Take it away, Joey.
Yeah, it's great to be here with you, Dr. G. I love that name too. I'm just looking forward to a really good conversation.
So tell us about you and what you're up to.
Okay, so I'd say business development coaching, but it's really a lot of transformation. So I use like rapid business growth, whether it's business owners, entrepreneurs, and realtors are my wheelhouse. Those are the people I work with, and it's really about quickly scaling their business. I have a 3-phase program. I've developed a method called the SMT Method, and it's really geared to scale companies very, very quickly. And then once they're scaled, I have another branch where I can help them then build their dynamic team with and such. So, but my passion is really in helping people transform. It's
Okay.
using, and that's why I love your podcast. I love this conversation or having this conversation, because it's all about fear. And all fear is a conditioning within us. It's a stepping outside of our comfort zone. And we get so conditioned to live within that comfort zone that it's fearful to step outside of that. And that's why so many people, Wallace Wattles has a quote that I love. And he said, thinking is the hardest work in the world. And that's why most people don't do it.
Mm.
And, I chuckle at that, Dr. G,
Yeah.
but if you think about it, how many real thinking people would go to jobs that they can't stand and be stuck in positions or be stuck in life or relationships or whatever it is because of the fear, which isn't even real, because of the fear of going through it and getting to that other side.
Right. Yeah, no, it's real. That is true.
Yeah. So
Let's
that's
hope it's
my
back.
whole passion, is helping people identify and then shift the conditioning to open up those fears. And even in my own life, I have a pilot's license. I ride motorcycles. I recently took up hang gliding. So I've been off of a 2,000-foot mountaintop with nothing but me and a hang glider for 7 flights. And it's really stepping into that fear, because what happens is just the other side of that fear is where that life beyond what we can describe is available to us.
Yeah,
Does that
no,
make sense?
that's absolutely. And so tell us, how did you get into this work?
Yeah, so I've been I grew up in a struggling family in Detroit, Michigan, and
Oh
growing up
yeah.
as a youth, and then when I got into my adulthood, I remember as a youth going out, I'm never going to live like you people. There's something wrong with you guys.
Oh, you talking about your
And then
family? Oh, that's
And
so
then when I
funny.
got into adulthood, I was doing those same things. If something came really easy for me, I thought I didn't deserve it or I didn't earn it. But at 22 years old, I heard a speaker. His name was Jack Bone. I heard him talking. I don't remember what he said, Dr. G, but what I remember is it lit this passion within me that I wanted to inspire, motivate, and lead people to live better lives. But at that time, I didn't know how to do it for myself.
Mm,
So I became a student of the works I do today, that day. And along with that, because I was conditioned a man gets a job and supports a family and hopefully lives long enough to enjoy some retirement, I
sure.
built a career in corporate America, which ended up carrying me for like 28 years up to a vice president of sales, building massive territories, helping companies that were in bankruptcy back into profitability. And I got to do a lot. I got to learn a lot, which I get to use today. But
Right.
I was never passionate about it. It's never what I wanted to do with my life. I felt there was a different purpose for my life than the path I was following. And it led that living in that fear, that it's being so afraid to step out or take chances beyond the minimal things, but the big steps out. I
Right.
would shy away from and come up with reasons why I can't and everything else and be stuck in that. And that it led me down a pathway of abusing alcohol, of abusing food, of abusing, gambling and doing other things rather than dealing with the fear until I hit a point,
Yes.
which was an instance with a motorcycle accident with a deer at 70 miles an hour that I
Oh, wow.
should not have lived through. That led me to opening this up and saying, man, I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm also
Yeah.
a ordained minister and I deliver a lot of Sunday services. So when it's God to me, whatever that higher power is in people's lives, to me, I call it God. That accident, like I had closed the doorway on God, and that accident helped me, led me to opening that back up to something greater than this right here. And I talk to people and I call this my mind, I call my thinking mind the Antichrist
Mm,
because I cannot be living through this and living through that connection with a power greater than myself at the same time. I can do one or the other. And I just got so literally beat up, from the accident and all the other things that happened and trying massive actions, trying to make that life work. And I never got results out of it. And so fed up with it that when I hit that point, I finally said, I can't do this anymore. And that doorway cracked open a little bit. And as I stepped into it, cracked open more and more and more until I have the life that I have today.
wow. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that you're able to tell a story about having a near death type of experience because some people don't have that opportunity. So it's also very encouraging that you have chosen now to like basically live a life that's like a full life, right? I mean, and it sounds like you're giving back as well, because I mean, anytime you can inspire other people, that is a great way to give back, a gift that you've been given. So
And
yeah.
that's become my first pathway for so many years. I worried about what I wanted and how I was going to get it and what I was going to do with it and what I wanted to achieve and the success that I thought I desired and everything else. And today, all I do is I live with what I've become known, what people have taught me is the servant's heart, where I really lean into helping others because of the reward I get for helping others. And all the other stuff starts showing up in my world.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. That is a phenomenon that is very like powerful. Like we tend not to think about this, but honestly, like, yeah, if you do what you love and you are helping people as you are doing it and you're paying it forward, you will get back so many more gifts, like in abundance, like 10x, 20x times what you even expected. So yeah, no, that's very encouraging and inspiring. And so tell us about how is it? So you had this huge event occur, the accident, but prior to that, had you had any instances where you were forced or you were in a position where you're like, okay, I need to face this fear?
Oh yeah, I mean a lot of times, this kid from Detroit being a vice president of, in corporate America, helping. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't look to open the avenue, but ended up in a position as a vice president, helping companies in bankruptcy get back to profitability. I didn't have any faith in myself that I'd be able to be successful at doing that. So every day was fear. I don't know. I'm sure, some of the people listening to this have been in situations where they've gone through bankruptcy as a business or personal or things like that. And I'm telling you, Dr. G, I could not stand the weekends because I would have all evening Friday, all day and night Saturday, all day and night Sunday. That I couldn't do anything other than knowing this company was in bankruptcy. There were 350 families of employees.
Yeah.
And I couldn't take any action into it. And I was running and gunning my whole life on massive actions and exhaustive efforts, thinking if I tried harder and I did more of the same things, that it would get me the results. It never did. But that's the avenue that I came from. That's the conditioning I was living in. So as I went down that avenue and as I experienced, all my gray hairs, I'm only 21 years old. So
right, 21, and
but all of my, honestly, like my gray hairs started just showing up as I went through that experience, and stepping out, like resigning from, $150,000 plus, position with a company car and all the benefits of a vice president and everything else. I had 3 clients that at that time, and that when I stepped out and I resigned, and it was scary. And at the same time, I moved down to the mountains of South Carolina, and I had like my whole life was upset, changed.
Right. Complete flip. Yeah.
And I was forced to lead into it, living more from here, living more from that power connection within me than I was here, only because this wasn't giving me any answers. And it only created me to be stale and stagnant in the walk I was in.
Yeah, no, and adjusting to a new environment, because it sounded like, I don't know where you were in corporate America, but like you mentioned growing up in Detroit, so I don't know if you stayed in that area, but the Carolinas are different than Michigan.
A lot different.
So it's like there's an adjustment there, so I guess the one good part is that the cost of living is less. So you're going from you're doing a little bit of geographic arbitrage there by changing up, because you mentioned that you left something that was not sure, but reliable, I guess, or supposedly
that's what we think.
Reliable.
Yeah,
supposedly reliable. You left something that
what we call stable.
Right, something stable that had a set amount of funds coming through it, right? To something that is maybe less stable, has the potential to be infinite, but at the onset, when you're starting, it may not necessarily be that, right? So you just don't know, if it's gonna go from 3 to like 10, or I don't know what the price point was for your clients, but like, sustainability. Okay. So you leave like consistent input of funds into your account to perhaps inconsistent, but perhaps consistent in the future and pretty infinite, to take a chance, which is fantastic, because that's if that's what you love, then that's the way to go, right? And obviously it paid off. But the other thing that you did that was interesting, again, I don't know where you were in corporate, but if you were in Michigan for that, going to the Carolinas was a cut in the cost of living and everything. So it gave you an opportunity to have not a cushion, but like what do you call this now? Like a better chance of, if things don't pop off immediately, to still be able to live and not be completely destitute and hopeless. So that was a good move.
There is that side of things. And I'll tell you, I've worked with almost 1,000 clients over the past decade. And every one of them come from different walks of life. They have different business ideas. They have different things. But every single one of them have achieved like incredible, almost what we would call unrealistic results in what they've achieved. I'm not into, and even the way I live now, I didn't downsize to come down here and live. I actually have the house I've always wanted in the mountains of South Carolina, and I get to drive 15 minutes from my office here. up to my home, and I get to drive 15 minutes down and see the beautiful sights and everything else. So it wasn't that I said, okay, I'm going to have it was just it worked out the way it worked out there, and it was a perfect setting for it,
Okay.
And I'm not big. I'm not into, and again, it's fear. I'm not into. We got to downsize in order to take off and launch our business. The name of my company is IFGT Coaching Consulting. The IFGT literally stands for It's Freaking Go Time. And that's what it is. When we take off and we get that, I'm able to help people utilize their fear as fuel to launch them forward past those fears, past those, the negative feelings that we hold into and so often try to push down and avoid, and use those to really launch into what what it is they're passionate about doing. One of the things for many years, I would look at things like, do what you love and the money will follow, things like that. And I'll tell you, for me, I did that and I was like, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. I've tried it in multiple different areas. No, it didn't. The piece that was missing in there is there has to be something in it for others. When I connected that with it, all of a sudden, coincidences, things happening out of the blue would start showing up almost as like part of the design. Not every once in a while, they would start showing up regularly, and they still do. They show up regularly. But what happens is we get that fear going, and then we talk to somebody who, I tried a business and it didn't work and it failed, and that adds to the fear. Yes. And we have the, being from, you sound like like Detroit. It was the auto mecca of the world for many, many years and growing up. And so the conditioning you receive growing up in an environment like that sets you up in that mentality that you get a job, you go there, you get your paycheck. Work isn't something you're supposed to enjoy doing. It's a job. That's why they call it a job, right? You hear, we hear things like that all the time. And so all we have to do is talk to somebody, our neighbor who's in that situation and can't stand their job, and they're going to complain about their job. And all of a sudden we can feed over into that. We're no happier, but we're building like an alter ego. We're building like a network of people who are also stuck. And then we live with those people and communicate with those people and talk to those people. And what I do is help people break away from that enough to get in alignment, find out what it is you really want. What is that passion, those gifts? What is it you want to achieve in this lifetime? And when we do, I call that a dynamic vision. Then we just start bridging that gap from where you are now to where you want to be. We start developing systems of accelerating habits to shift that condition and start opening up that avenue to happen.
No, I mean, that's amazing. That's great. Hey, it's Dr. G, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank you for listening to this episode. I'm so honored to have you here with me. Did you know that I can help you to get your own podcast started? With my podcasting launch course for professionals, I walk you through everything you need to know about starting a podcast. I'm with you every step of the way, from sign up to launching your show, with 5 episodes ready to go. There's a done for you version that's also available. If you would just rather just do recordings and leave the behind the scenes work up to us, then that one is definitely for you. But either way, we've got your back here at Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Oh, if you already have a show and you need production services, we have monthly plans available for you. So check out the links in the episode show notes for more information. Let's get back to the show. Because I think that is, I mean, you kind of touched the nail on the head. You talk to any of these individuals who are, highly successful, they will say that the company that you keep, who you surround yourself with, is huge. And it doesn't have to be a lot of people. It could be literally 3 to 5 people. And if they're in the mindset that is advancing, progressing, excelling, then you too will have the same. But the same thing is true on the other end, right? You can't be the only one. You can't be the only person who is progressively thinking in a group, because it will wear on you over time.
But I have to make that. I don't disagree with you at all, Dr. G. And there's no way I'd have come as far as I came, in this lifetime from Detroit, Michigan, to doing what I'm doing and the impact I'm having, if I tried to do it alone. But I had to make the decision to step out and to step into those fears and to do all of that. I had to make that for myself. And when I did that, the people around me were the same people that told me why I couldn't. And I stepped out anyways because I was in so much pain living the life I was living. I would have rather died, and so as I went through that and stepped out, then all of a sudden people that aligned with that started showing up. But it's not like they show up and then I step out with them and they grab my hand and walk me. I had to make that choice. And there's
no,
fear.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm just saying that once you have made the choice, you cannot be around the people that are still negative. Like, you can't be the only one that is doing these things, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah. One of the things I tell people, and it's proven over and over and over again, is as we shift inside. And that's why I say everything I do is about transformation, because it's not about going out there and getting that business or going out there and getting that wealth or going out there and getting that great love relationship or whatever it is. It's not about going out and doing it. We have to come from it on the inside. And when we come from that on the inside, we start opening that up. And so what I tell people is every person I work with goes through and experiences people in their life either shift along with them or they start falling by the wayside. And it's just a natural, it's just a natural thing that happens. I mean, we can say sorrow and relationships ending, but in order for you to get to where you're going, that has to be part of it. And those people either shift or they start, like I said, start falling by the wayside, and then other people show up who are part of where we're going.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Seen that. Oh my gosh. And then, so tell us about your program. So you alluded to it a couple of times. Can you tell us about that? So in case people are interested, they can.
So I've developed a method that's become known as the SMT method, and it's all about subconscious mindset training. So it's all about the conscious mind that holds all of our programming, our paradigms, our patterns, our belief systems, our experiences, not even our experiences. Somebody can be afraid to take an action because of an experience somebody else told them they didn't even experience for themselves. All of that's in in this motherboard in our subconscious mind. And that motherboard is what triggers our brain waves to the actions we take or don't take. And that's why so many people in their conscious mind, they know what they want. They can identify it, talk about it, vision board it, all these things. But then if they really look at the actions they're taking are leading them away from it because of fear and other things and stuff rather to it. So part of the thing, ultimately what the SMT method does is it brings mindset alignment between the knowing and the doing. It closes that gap in our knowing and doing in the conscious and subconscious mind to help us get into alignment with the things we want. So I'll have people that'll come to me and they'll be in jobs or they want a relationship or whatever it is, and they're just miserable. They're at that point of going, okay, I'm open to help, which is a door opening for all of us, right?
Yes, of course.
We can't do anything different until we decide we want to do something that we're willing to do something different. So at that point, I can help somebody in a 12-week program I have to help them to go through the SMT method, to start understanding and repatterning some of that conditioning and opening up the doorway to, whether it's opening up that business, whether it's finding a great love, whether it's finding a different job or career that somebody, loves. Yeah. And then after that, once they have that, once they're in that business or they have the business started and such, then I help them in a program that helps them to quickly scale that business. And let me just say, because I say this and people misunderstand me, I think, I'm all about my clients achieving unrealistic achievements towards their visions. So when I say that, typically businesses will say 25% is good business growth year to year for a business.
Right.
I'm talking about helping companies go from $300,000 a year to over $3 million a year, and doing so within a matter of months, doing so in less than 12 calendar months.
Okay.
Or helping realtors that I've worked with. One in particular, in 13 years of real estate, her highest income year was 7.5 million. In the year we worked together, Dr. G, she almost toppled over $23 million. And it was the only year of her adult life that she took 5 weeks of vacation in that same year she did that. And that was several years ago. And she's still scaling from that 23 million today.
Fantastic.
So it's not like we work together and then drop back off.
Right. No, so it's lasting change. No, it's good. It's good. And so how can they contact you if they're interested?
The easiest way for anybody to get a hold of me is they can go to a site I set up that's got my personal calendar, and it's coachwithjoey.com. And they can schedule a 15-minute conversation with me. And it's not about my programs. It's not about the coaching. It's not about things like that. I want to say one other thing about coaching, but it's not about that. It's just to connect with people and just to find out what's going on. What is your fear? And how can I help you to take even a single step into that to start changing your life? If I could do that, man, my heart's full, And the other thing I just want to say, because I talked about the coaching programs, but I differ from so many coaching programs out there in that I don't tell people I have your roadmap or I have your plan or I know your A, B, and C's to get you to D. I don't know what that is. We are all unique individuals. We all have unique conditioning in it, which is the reason why less than 1% of the people who work in one of those coaching programs like I just discussed ever achieve anything close to the results that the person who built it does. So what I do is I help every single person utilizing their unique conditioning to identify what that is, shift that, and open up the doorway to whatever their vision is. I help each of my clients develop systems of accelerating habits, which means we get into alignment with taking the actions that are in alignment with what we know we want, which brings about quicker results.
That is fantastic.
So coachwithjoey.com would be the short answer.
Okay. And it's Joey, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Coachwithjoey.com.
Awesome. Fantastic. And so we are at that point of the show where we have a tradition. It's called fill in the blanks. Are you ready to fill in the blanks? Okay, great.
I am ready. Yes.
Okay. I love it. The first one is, if I am fearless, I will
impact the world with my life.
Awesome. The next one is, to me, fearless freedom means.
Fearless means fearless freedom.
Fearless freedom. To me, fearless freedom means.
Fearless freedom means that I'm not afraid to look at what I desire in this life. And I'm not afraid to step out and own that and allow it to happen within my life. I no longer block my avenues. I no longer block the things that are happening. And I step through the things. I use fear as a tool of growth, not as a hindrance into what I want to achieve.
Nice. And then the last one is, my battle cry is.
And I have to be honest with you on this one.
Yeah.
I've given up the battle. I don't have a battle cry. I have tears of joy. I have with impacts and things like that. I don't battle anymore. I don't have to. I don't want to. I would say instead of a battle cry, what I have is that's why I love doing things like hang gliding, because I'm just up there and you don't hear the wind or anything, and you're just in this place of peace and calmness. It's like being by a river, whether I'm fishing it or not, just being out by a river and listening to the water go over the rocks. That would be my preference today.
Nice. That is probably the most original answer I've had in the 4 years. So that's great.
That's good.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. So just remind us again how we can reach you on social, how we can reach you
Absolutely.
online.
Anybody can reach out to coachwithjoey.com, access my personal calendar, and schedule a time we can talk.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah.
It was great talking with you. Thank you so much for sharing about your experience, your transition from growing up in Detroit, Michigan to, where you are today. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you. I really, really enjoyed talking with you. This is great. What a great message you're bringing to your audience. If I could just say one other thing, I would say, with what you're doing here, because this is your passion, and what you're doing here, and you do a great job hosting. And anybody who listens to this, if you get something out of this, even if you don't, that's okay. Pass this on. Pass this podcast on to other people, your friends and your family and your community, and help them. You don't know who's going to need to hear what Dr. G has and then the guest has to say on here. So feel free to pass those on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that endorsement.
You're welcome.
No, that's awesome.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Again, I'm Dr. G. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe so that you can get notified of when the next episode is going to be. And also, I'll catch you next time. Have a great one. Be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.